And we're recording.
All right.
I guess I'm Xander, and this is...
I'm Jacob.
And I guess the topic of discussion will be us chronicling why we want to be Imagineers, or I guess creative in the theme park industry, or is it strictly Imagineer for you?
I have, it doesn't matter the name of it. I want to work for Disney.
Want to work for Disney. So specifically, me, I'm just trying to get in the creative atmosphere for the theme park industry. I'm going to use a dime here. We're playing chess while doing this, just to give us something to occupy. But I guess we'll talk this over. Games of chess. I feel like that'll be a good way to do it.
Yeah.
I guess we'll start with you. Tell us why you want to get into this industry. What started your fascination?
It was a childhood start for me. It was back in the day going to Disney. That was the thing. Growing up in Florida, that's what you did on a Sunday morning when there was nothing else to do. So, it was going to the parks and just seeing just the absolute magic they put into everything. That's what, it takes your breath away.
Yeah.
And that's what I guess got me started on it. Was I knew when I wanted to grow up, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to make that magic.
Mm-hmm. So what aspects are you looking forward to in that industry? You're more of a creative, right?
Oh yeah,
okay.
Definitely.
So what are your areas of, I guess not expertise per se, but what are your areas that are most interesting to you in this industry?
Definitely the art side of things.
All right.
Is where I want to go into. Concept art is where I'd love to be. Especially in their Blue Sky department. Oh, that would be a dream.
That's the animation studio that they...
no, that's...
tell me about Blue Sky.
Blue Sky. So, it's, on a clear day with no clouds, it's a blue sky. So
okay.
When a project is first started, it starts in the blue sky. So there's nothing for it. It's just someone walks in and says, hey, we want an attraction like this.
So that's I guess anything... I thought you meant Blue Skies in the animation studio.
Oh, no, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
No.
The Spies in Disguise coming out December 25th. Come see Will Smith and Tom Holland.
There you go.
I'm surprised I guess Disney owns that because that's Fox's animation, which means now Ice Age is indeed a Disney movie.
Never thought of that.
But, so Blue Sky, that's...
Take out your
money at this point doesn't matter. Gus, laws of physics don't even matter at this point. It's literally just...
It's just someone walks in and says, hey, we need to make a roller coaster starring a moose. Get to it,
All right. Took your queen there.
That just was it. Okay.
So, in what... do you have any examples of, I guess, what has started out in the Blue Sky area? What kind of things that you like about that side?
Well, I don't know. I just like the freedom you have with it.
Okay.
No one's breathing down your neck telling you, oh, you can't do that because of this. It's you have that free range of you can do pretty much anything you want there. You don't have those limitations with money and physics and all that jazz. You're kind of in control. And concept art would be cool, but I think I would more be fit in a creative director. Just
what does that mean?
That's they a lot like graphic design, where you take pieces of a project and you make it into a whole. You're guiding the essentially creative process.
Does that mean? I guess sorry to cut you off. Does that mean higher up in rank? As in, like, you're telling other concept artists to have one big picture?
That's a little closer to an art director, which, another thing I wouldn't mind.
Okay.
They're sort of in charge of guiding the overall vision for the artists. The artists are nitpicking and then focusing on the little picture,
And your big picture with creative?
Yeah, and big picture, I'd love to... I mean, I can be detail-oriented, but I like to think of myself as sort of a bridge between big and small pictures. I can easily switch between the two in terms of when you're creating the backstory for an attraction or the history of a character. Like that's what
that would be your responsibility?
Yeah.
All right. So you said concept artist. That means that you're more, I guess, not, I say conceptual meaning 2D.
Yes.
I mean, I've seen your drawings, so I know you're a 2D artist. But I mean, I don't know if you do anything else besides like mock-ups of attractions, or would be specifically you drawing out plans.
I honestly do not know what that position would hold for me. I mean, I can do 3D if I need to.
Yeah.
But I really would rather not need to.
Okay. So sketching out, I guess, rides and designs for said attractions?
Attractions, stuff to immerse people in a world, everything from the building details to the how does snow affect this, I don't know.
Yeah. So for you, it's industrious, or that, I say industrious. For you, the industry involves, on your side of things, I guess, ground one.
Yes.
For where things start.
Yeah.
So you would want to be involved in, I guess, someone giving you a project, and you would have to round up the people to start making it and conceptualize it for someone else to design.
Yeah. And really what I really want to be is just storytelling. Like,
okay.
Getting the story to be told through the design.
Would you say that that's why you fell in love with this kind of...
Oh, for sure.
Okay, so it is the storytelling of... I guess you said immersion is your thing, so...
Yeah, and it's the untold story that I like the best.
What examples do you have of that?
The Haunted Mansion has a billion trillion.
Yeah, of course, there's... that's everybody's hidden gem of Disney.
Yeah, but it's like, it's those untold stories that, like, it's the atmospheric storytelling, where you miss it if you don't look closely. If you're not looking for it, you don't see it. But if it's not there, you know something's missing.
Okay, so it's that kind of where if you don't see it, you did your job, but if someone obsesses over it, you've also done your job.
Yeah, and it's the stories that the fans make. It's not so much the story you're telling, it's the story you're allowing them to tell.
Okay.
Half of the stuff that comes from the Haunted Mansion is just fans saying, I wonder if, and Disney going, yeah, sure, whatever.
Okay.
Works for us.
All right. I like that. So, you're into this industry. What, I guess, what steps
Are we gonna do? Are we gonna ask you any of these questions?
I mean, go ahead. I'm kind of grilling you here. Go ahead if you want to. Before we get into how we're going to accomplish these goals, if you want to ask me.
Yeah. What got you into this?
This mess indeed. I guess my love for theme parks and this immersive storytelling started with, frankly, old movies. I guess those practical effects of like Star Wars and Indiana Jones. It really set my young mind because I grew up in the parks as well. I was one of those every weekends kind of goings, and because my mom was a performer in the parks, and my dad was creative building the parks. So I think, and it's because I would watch these movies as a kid, and there's a part that clicks where you understand, oh, these bonus features tell me how these movies were created, which means that it goes from a fantasy land, which I can still enjoy the fantasy of these movies and just watching it, but also this critical aspect that really awakened me of somebody's job is making this. And wouldn't that be a cool job of making things for these movies? So really, that's what started me is I like special effects in movies, and then you cameras are all cool because you can do anything digitally. However, these theme parks, granted, going back to Haunted Mansion, this, 60s attraction, there's real ghosts. It's not a camera projecting the ghosts. Those are real live ghost effects. And I think that really got me involved in the magic of theatrics. And, that really can be really well done in themed environments. And I think, we're seeing now where people don't want to see a cardboard cutout jumping out at you on a ride. They really want to be immersed in... frankly, films now, so it's not just a flat 2D what the camera sees, it's a 360, someone else is the camera. So I think really that's what got me into that is and I guess I'm not so much, I can design something from start to finish, but I'm more of the kinesthetic. I like weathering and putting, coffee stains on tables and that kind of a thing. So really my place that I want to get into is building the attraction so I can walk around the park and say oh that's my that's my newspaper article that I clipped out and put on the thing, or that's that kind of a thing. So I guess my aspect is I really want to be a scenic fabricator or a prop maker. That's kind of my goals. I mean, granted, I'm talking as if I haven't known you for a while. I've seen your art.
Well, yeah, I mean, this guy's amazing with anything you can
give me a piece of cardboard and tell me it needs to be sheet metal.
Yeah.
But see, that's what I like is your character designs. I mean, I in class, we went to school together. I'd look over it. It's like, you're drawing Mike Wazowski as Roz. I feel like that stuff's great, and so I like your character designs. Yes. Mike Wazowski sitting on a stool with Roz's hairdo. I think that's great. So we were both in theater together. I guess we'll start with step one on our road to, this is our setting up our base knowledge of, so I guess anybody who listens to us, if anybody does, I'd like to chronicle, because I know we're both in the same field, so I really want to chronicle, because we're going about it different ways, we'll get into that, but I want to chronicle us going through it. I feel like that'd be a fun little thing for us. We were both in high school together, and we both were in the theater company, and I guess we were both in our different respective arts.
Oh, yeah.
You were in the actual art class. I was more of a music, band, chorus, theater, and you joined theater. What year did you join?
Freshman year.
Freshman year?
I was always in the class.
Okay.
And I'd done many productions outside of Lake Howell, but my first actual show at Lake Howell wasn't until the end of my freshman year. It was the summer show that year.
What show was that?
The Grimm Brothers Spectacular Fun.
That's right. You were the you were the his grandmother who karate chopped a
Little Red.
Jacob's always playing female characters for some reason. It's a really big trend in his career.
I look darn good in a dress, let me tell you.
So we both started in high school. Is it my turn in chess?
It is your turn.
All right. We both started in high school. What steps did you take to? I mean, did you know how to draw going into high school? Did you learn in art classes? What was your journey throughout trying to figure out where you fit in this field?
For me, darn it, I was gonna take that. I was about to take his knight, and he moved it. I was never, a stellar artist. I still am not necessarily a stellar.
Well, you are your own worst critic.
Yeah. And if there's one thing I've learned, it's you never compare yourself to others, because wait a second. Oh, look at this.
Oh, you did the same thing I did earlier in the game.
Yeah, I just took his queen.
But comparing yourself to others, I understand that because,
you're never going to be the best.
That's like the same thing with being a musician is, it's like, oh, I've mastered this cool song and someone else has played it better than you. So how did you end up honing, I guess, your art skills? How did you end up developing that craft?
So for me, it was it was always a little hobby, you doodle, but I never really thought I would be going into an art profession. Actually, when I was way young, I wanted to be a paleontologist, and then I thought I was going to be an architect, and that's where I thought I was going to be in terms of designing stuff for Disney. I thought I was going to be one of their project architects, but it was my freshman year, and I don't even know what started this, but did you just move?
Yeah.
Okay. For one reason or another, I decided to start. I draw Nintendo characters, especially in the Mario franchise.
Okay. You do a Killer Toad impression.
Oh, yeah. And I would draw them as humans.
Okay.
Like I take
as opposed to
whatever they may be. Like Toad is a mushroom.
Toad. The non-human characters.
Like the enemy.
You're not drawing Mario as a more human.
Mario as a
okay.
Human. No. I take especially the more eccentric enemies. Like the Pokey, they're not quite anthropomorphic, but you could make them anthropomorphic. And looking back at those drawings, they're horrifying to look at.
Mm-hmm.
But that kind of started me down on the path, because I did, I think, a total of 120 characters.
Okay.
And there's a significant improvement from the first one to the last one.
I can imagine. 120 is a lot of. Are there even that many characters in the Mario franchise? There are.
There most certainly are. I mean, it wasn't main characters. I had to dig deep into
all right.
stuff from the 1980s. The gotcha wrench from Demolition Crew. Some sort of dinosaur wrench, I don't know. Regardless, and that's what kind of set me on the, like, I'm not good, but I can get good.
Okay.
Because I could see that significant improvement of the this is, and it told me, it taught,
Yeah.
showed me that I liked doing art.
Okay.
It sort of brought me on that path, and telling telling sort of a story, but giving a personality with just one design.
Mhm.
What are they wearing? How does that add to how thick is their brow?
Mhm.
What is the one face you can give them that would just absolutely personify whatever attitude they may have, and like
Mhm.
creating a personality out of, like I said, that one design. How can someone look at that and know exactly who or what that is just
Yeah.
by seeing that one design? If you can tell everything about it, if you can judge the book by its cover,
So
there you go.
back to storytelling with you. So
Yeah.
these characters really develop that being able to do storytelling for you.
And from there it just evolved, and I'd bring my sketchbook every day, and
Yeah, I mean I've seen
yeah.
in the middle of class looking over Mike Wazowski with Roz's makeup.
Anytime I had a free moment, I'd start drawing, and of course Mike Wazowski was an icon.
Yes, he is. I watched Monsters University earlier today, and I really do like that movie.
It is a good movie.
Of all the Pixar sequels, I think that one might be better than Cars 2.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
Cars 3 redeemed itself,
Cars
but
3 was really
I did
good.
like Monsters University. It's not so much as a cash grab as Planes.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I never watched Planes. I
It's
look at that
if you ever want to
and
listen to George Lopez as a Mexican biplane, that's the movie for you. So, I guess moving out through high school, what did you do art-wise, project-wise? Like how did you, I guess, I'm trying to figure out the right question here, but because you draw, so you've done these Mario characters. What started your? Here I am babbling figuring out the right question.
I think I see the direction.
Well, yeah, because you're telling these stories through characters' emotions. What did you do to? Is it your turn or my turn?
I think it's yours. I'm not sure.
What did you do? I guess to develop in other ways of art, because I mean it's not just drawing conceptually. You have to understand other ways of art. What did you make your own characters and tell different stories there? Did you what have you done in this storytelling journey that you seem to be on?
For the most part, I always since then I've always liked to tell my own stories. Although often I say I draw inspiration, I steal other people's characters.
Yeah.
Or I take a certain basis. I like to think of myself as a powder keg.
Okay.
I may not be that original flame, but once you light that spark, I can explode.
That's a good analogy.
Yeah. And one of the sort of, I guess, grandest things I've done in that atmospheric storytelling realm where, you don't have much to go off of other than just the thing itself was my, in senior year, I took AP 3D art against my will.
Yeah, I can imagine. You said you're not a 3D person. How did that challenge you?
It definitely taught me how to time manage.
Okay. That's probably good for a creative director.
Yeah, it was so much work in so little time.
Check, by the way. Sorry,
for
continue.
And a lot of stuff I just didn't know how to do.
Mm-hmm.
Can I move this backward? I can't? Okay. Because we had to do a total of 16 projects in the year.
Okay, what does that entail?
It was 8 of them could be anything under the sun. They were called the Breath Projects. So anything you wanted to make, you could make as long as it wasn't copyrighted. And the other 8, that was the concentration. So that had to all follow a similar theme.
Mm-hmm.
One year, someone did a bunch of different bears committing suicide, for example. It's
that's interesting.
A strange
Check,
example,
by the way.
but I'm going to stop that. Stop that.
Sorry.
He's wiping the floor with me.
So the projects that are like your creative endeavors and projects that were, I guess, were assigned on a theme?
It wasn't. Yeah, I mean, like you weren't assigned a theme. It was you could pick any theme, but like some person did. It was only projects made out of recycled materials.
Okay.
It just had to. They all did connect some way.
Okay, you had to choose a theme.
Yeah.
So what did you do for these projects?
For me, for the breath projects, I just pulled crap out of my butt and tied it together. Because that was
as we all do it in our times of I don't know this.
That was just a lot of time stuff. You know, that was the last projects we did. So.
Is it
my
turn?
I have
your turn. But continue.
Okay. It was just, wrapping up the semester. I threw a bunch of string together and literally called it the art of the fart because it was supposed to be.
You're in Czech, by the way.
I am Czech. No, am I? Oh no, I didn't do that.
All right.
You didn't see that.
Sorry.
So
you string together these projects.
Yeah, in more than one way.
Okay.
But the concentration. I of course based mine off of a Haunted Mansion.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't it had no direct reference to the Haunted Mansion, but it was based off of a concept already in the mansion, and that's the Dread family.
Okay.
For those that don't know, in Disney World's Haunted Mansion, the interactive queue, a part of it is there's a family of busts. There's 6 busts, and they all murdered one another.
Mm-hmm.
It's a whole big thing of this one killed that one with this, and that one killed that one with this, and it's their epitaphs that all show. You got to read them to figure out, okay, who killed who. It's the whole mystery. It's a murder mystery where everyone's a killer and everyone's a villain.
Okay.
Victim.
Victim and killer.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I really liked that because it was a short epitaph that told part of the story, and it told it in an ingenious way. It gave you a who, how, and why.
Mm-hmm.
And the busts themselves were just gorgeous because it was that same thing of just by looking at them you can tell so much about their personality.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I based mine off of, except instead of the 5, there's 6 busts, but 2 of them are twins on one bust. So
mm-hmm.
instead of just 5 epitaphs and seeing who killed who, I had to do 8.
Okay.
And that was probably not necessarily one of the bigger challenges. It was a challenge,
mm-hmm.
I'll say. And so I stop that.
Sorry.
I created the Grimm family.
Okay.
And in a matter of, I think, 3 hours total, I had created all 8 family members. I feel like that's a trap.
It is.
I saw the...
So you added 2 new members to this.
Yeah, well, I didn't add 2. I created 8 totally different new members. It was an entirely new family, an entirely new set of motives. It was really.
But you started with that idea.
I took the idea of the family murder mystery.
Okay.
And it was started out as it was the 8 busts and 8 epitaphs, and I had 8 rhyming epitaphs that led you to the killer, and I showed it to my art teacher, and he said it's good, but it's not different enough. Like, yes, they're all connected, but they still have to show a variety of skill. So I had to go back the next day and figure out a way. One of them's a bust, one's a gravestone, one's a pile of rubble with a golden flute. I had to do all the rework a lot of stuff. But in the end, I had a full family of 8, and I personally think I did pretty well. I did my best.
Yeah.
In the time allotted.
But it's the storytelling.
But it was definitely the story behind it that drove it, because I was by no means the best artist in there. I was probably the worst.
Yeah.
Especially when it came to 3D, because I didn't know they were all in 3D art together, and this was AP 3D. I was in ceramics. I was going to go in ceramics too, and he said, no, go to 3D AP. I said, okay.
So, but was the challenge worth it to...
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. It put me to the test. It told me what I could do, what I couldn't do, what I needed to work on, and what I liked to do versus what I didn't like to do. And it was like I said, it wasn't the art that made me so impressive, but my peers, they still applauded my work because of the story behind it, because it was 8 pieces made out of recycled materials versus 8 pieces that told a story that you could actually interact with, that you could that help build a world.
And that puts it over. It's not just an object that you look at. There's things to uncover under it, and I guess
Exactly.
that's that's I guess one of the things we like about the art of the theme park is it's not just rides that it's what separates it from an amusement park. It's not just rides you go on that's, oh look, it's a pirate ship swinging back and forth. No, you're on a pirate ship, and there's pirates around you, and there's a story to what each pirate does, and
they're auctioning off hens now.
Yes, auctioning off hens. It's the rub thereafter. I love politically correct Disney, don't we all? But so it sounds like that was a good way to go throughout a class that teaches you not only how to have a timeline and deadline, but also creatively how to establish a story. And that was a good way that in a learning environment you could go through that, I guess, almost like a mock Blue Sky, it seems.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, and that's... I can do that 1,000 times better on paper than I can on clay.
Yeah.
And I've done it probably 1,000 times on paper.
That's crazy. 1,000 times of character study in model.
I mean,
it's the only way you can get better.
Yeah, and it's beyond, just self-improvement. It's a hobby, it's what I do to relax myself, and when everyone's winding down at 8 o'clock, we watch TV, and I break out my sketchbook. I got a little reading light that I use to draw by, and that's what I do.
That's crazy. That's incredible.
So how about you?
How about me? What
is your high school path? Has led you to...
I joined theater in freshman year as well, having done acting and other stuff before high school. I was pretty avid in the theater family. I started... I can act and I like character shows, but being a freshman, you don't get that many roles. So I really started with... I guess I started with being on tech, meaning set, crew, and frankly props is where I started. Our prop room was a mess. No one organized it, and so I came in and I took the time to categorize, sports props go here, weapons are here, jewelry's here.
I'm going to interrupt you for a moment to tell you that my freshman year, I could have sworn when I first met you, I thought you were like a senior who was like the prop guy of the company. That's just what I thought. That's the vibe you gave off.
I suppose I've always been one to fill niche positions. I've always been no one really wanted to do props, and I really like props. I feel like you can't tell a story without you can have a show without props, but people pick up a phone and do that, pinky and thumb thing. That's not a phone. Have a phone there. It builds. It's one of those immersion things.
Yeah.
If it's not there, something's missing. And I really like those little details like that. And plus, with props, you have these specialty props in a show that you get to build and you get to create.
Yeah.
My freshman year, we did Great Gatsby, and I was a dancer on that show. I was an ensemble dance member for the show, but I was also the prop. This was an assistant at this time. After the show, I was the manager for all 4 years. But, I got to do teeth for Meyer Wolfsheim. He has these cufflinks. And literally for 12 seconds on stage, I took 2 weeks making plaster teeth coated in enamel on these cufflinks.
That's what they told me. They're like, oh my god, he's the guy that spent 2 weeks 12 seconds on this.
Literally, I took Play-Doh and I made these molars. I cut it in half with dental floss. I cast it in plaster. I Vaselined the molds, cast plaster in those sacrificial molds, glued them together, covered them in clear nail polish to give it that, that ivory look. Yeah. I put them on cufflinks, and you couldn't even see them on stage. No. But I still have them, and I wear them today.
And if they weren't up there, people would know they weren't.
Yeah, they'd be like, oh, this guy's showing off non-existent cufflinks, but everything else is real on the show.
They never know that there's teeth on stage, but if you take the teeth off, they're like, where's the teeth?
Again, it's the little details. So I guess that's how I'm a big music guy, and I was in chorus until...
big is an understatement. Like, he can play any instrument.
Well, yeah, give me 5 minutes. And, I can't, I'm not a virtuoso on any instrument. I guess guitar I am, but yeah, I kind of pick up an instrument. But I was interested in music, and I didn't really learn an instrument until sophomore year. I picked up guitar. And from then, in junior year, I was out of chorus. and I was in full-time theater, and I was really getting into guitar, and theater, there's so much music in theater that also tells a story. I love diegetic musicals that have the music in the play.
Yeah.
It tells a story, and so I was really involved in trying to get as much musical experience as I can. But on that, I was always first and foremost the prop guy. That was my love. Every time in a show, I'd categorize what we had and what we didn't have, what I could make, what I had to buy. I really like that, telling a story, getting a list down, making sure it's period accurate. That's another thing, that's these tiny obsessive details. You got to make sure if the show takes place in the 60s, you can't use a Polaroid camera. You got to use the right thing for the right job. And I love contingency like that.
I remember the stress of making sure every phone was period.
Yep.
We had like 7 phones set up, and
you got
took 2 away because they weren't.
They weren't
right
period. And that really senior year I was in band, and so that satisfied me musically. But high school, theater wise, I was president of our troupe. Strictly because I've done every job in the theater company. I was on makeup crew. I did lights. I did sound. I was AV Tech president. I've done set construction and designing, painting. I've done music, acting. Frankly, it was
beyond that, you were. I mean, yes, you did all those things, and yes, you were good in all those things, but you really took command in a lot of those things.
Yeah,
you weren't afraid to
I wasn't on the crew. I was pretty much leader in my area. Yeah. So.
Yeah, and those were the skills that And when you were making your speech, it was a really rough time.
Yeah.
And we all knew the one guy who could bring us out of the nonsense was going to be you.
Yeah, we went through a rough patch, but senior year I really did well.
Oh yeah.
But creatively, I was always one of those kids who couldn't draw and looked at all these girls in elementary school who were drawing crazy stuff. I'm like, how do you do that? I never clicked in my head. But the horse girls. It never clicked in my head how to do art. And then one day, it just I started understanding shapes. And you know what it did for me? It was Lego. I really liked playing with Lego. And from there, I understood kind of how things are designed, and that's what I wanted to be. Funny enough, you wanted to be a paleontologist, I wanted to be an archaeologist, because I loved Indiana Jones. And I wanted to be a Lego designer, too, because I feel like designing those, I feel like that'd be a dream job, playing with Lego.
Cool job. Was...
And from there, you kind of get into this conceptual design aspect, and, I started drawing what I saw, and I really don't know what it was, but eventually I just really liked making, I could draw. I like drawing. But for me, it was, I love tangible objects. I really liked being able to, make something.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what, again, started the prop loving thing is, I was one of those kids who, if I got one of those toy blasters, those DL44s, that were all bright orange, my dad and I would go in the garage and he'd show me all the tools and we'd paint it black and make it, screen accurate. And that's one of those things that I fell in love with.
Yeah.
So I guess senior year for me, I wasn't in any art classes, I guess, besides the theater class. But I got to, throughout theater, I got to test these homebrew making methods of, how to weather things and how to take materials you find laying around and kit bash to make it look cool. And, I really enjoyed...
really like your own little playground. You could just experiment.
Yeah,
with...
and, for instance, we did a 60s beach themed, Much Ado About Nothing. We did a 60s beach themed Much Ado About Nothing.
As if
we
the
always
play wasn't confusing enough.
Yeah, we always did Shakespeare with a twist. And our teacher wanted surfboards. And, you don't really get 60s themed surfboards nowadays. And we're not going to go buy one. So I was like, well, how hard can it be? It's that shape. And I cut it out of foam, and, it's one of these challenges that you don't think should be challenging. You just cut out the surfboard shape. But, it wasn't just that. It was, now you had to make the sides smooth because they weren't angular. Surfboards aren't 90 degrees. There's a slope to it. And, you had to paint it with a varnish so it looked waxed. And you had to have the right design and color palette. And, it's little things like that that really, it's those, if those surfboards weren't there, it really didn't matter. But they're there, it makes this lived-in beach town.
Yeah, and I think you were definitely the go-to guy for that. And I don't think, bless her heart, I don't think Miss Ortiz
Yeah.
fully realized just how much work went into that. You know, she thought it was just you cut out the phone.
Well, she's a maker too, but yeah, she really, you know,
Because-
she's great, and she really is a creative person,
Well-
but she's not, you know, she's a draw a stick line and there's your set.
Well, the reason I say that is we had done Little Shop our senior year.
Yeah,
And
that was a fun show.
That was such a fun
Look
show.
it up. If you want to look up
Oh,
Lake
yeah.
Howell High School
Yeah.
Little Shop, I'm pretty proud of that show.
Oh
Look
yeah,
it up.
that was one of our greatest. Another one I wore a dress in.
Yes.
I fought for that dress.
Started his career and ended his career in drag.
Yep.
We were it's that if you don't know, it's the Meek Shaw and Heron. I was supposed to do I was the character who would have to play all three of those people, and I could not get into the wig fast enough. And I was telling our director, I said, please let Jacob be Mrs. Luce. He does it better than I ever could.
And I was already Mr. Mushnick, so it
Yeah.
wasn't like I was some lowly actor that toss the dog a bone kind of thing.
But you know, I just could not get in that change fast enough. And I told her, I said, look, Jacob's the man for it. And you really pulled it off. So
And
look up that show if you
when
want to see it.
When you had to leave for work one day,
Yeah.
and you weren't
Yep.
there for Meek Shall and Hair, and I ran in.
You gotta
to
take
do
those
Mrs.
opportunities.
Luce, and that's how
That's
I got
another
it.
thing in this industry is take opportunities.
Oh yeah, risk.
But you were saying about our
Oh yes. So yeah, Little Shop. The other pods, the smaller pods for Audrey 2, all had these lips,
yeah.
and our director really wanted the largest pod, which did not have lips,
Yeah.
to have lips.
Yeah.
And she said, "Jacob, you're the artsy one. You make the lips. You're in 3D art. You don't have enough on your plate already." You know?
You're not in the show memorizing lines.
Yeah. So, and again, on paper, it looked fantastic. You know, I had shown her, I think it was like 5 different lip concepts. You know, one to make it more effeminate. One is more the city gossip type of lips of she's the 5-pack a day smoker and her husband's rich, so she doesn't have to work. You know, that kind of thing. I had one that was more sweetie. You know, it was each of the lips told a story, and she just kind of looked at it and went like, okay, just make lips.
Yeah.
You know? And I was like, okay, how hard can it be? You're just cutting a shape out of foam. Oh,
And it turned into what, a 5-day endeavor?
Yeah, at least.
Yeah.
It was like over the span of 2 weeks, but it was 5 actual working days.
Because you were other things in the show.
Yeah, and of course I was already staying after school because it was the end of our senior year, so that was when I was wrapping up all the 3D projects I was already in, and we actually even had to call in our 3D teacher to help make these
I remember
stupid
that.
lips. And the darndest thing, they never even made it into the show.
Yeah.
We were so stressed out about these lips. I got them painted, I got them made. They looked pretty alright, if I do say so myself.
Yes,
for 5 days of
For 5
never
days
done
of
this
foam work,
before.
they did fit in.
But they didn't stick as well as we would have hoped to the pod, and I don't think Ortiz liked the way they looked either, and she was just like, "No, that's okay. We don't need them." And I was like, "Okay."
Yeah. But you know, that's the thing in this job is how many things are just canned, because it's like, in theory it looks good, but when you know, that's like these animated Dr. Seuss movies.
Yeah.
You know, it's like not having an upper lip looks fine in cartoons,
Yeah.
but then you put it in 3D models and you're like, oh, that's creepy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
And
who knows is in The Grinch.
Yeah, and that's like I said, on paper they looked fantastic.
Yep.
In practice, that's where you would have made them look
Yep.
fantastic. But
Yep.
I had no experience with that. I had no, and of course you were already, you know, doing all sorts of stuff for the set. You know, she had you running every little errand. So
I made the dentist area pretty much from
that was all you
Yeah.
know. So it's like when she had me design the T-shirts for that show, I could do that.
Those are good T-shirts.
Those were good T-shirts.
Those were good T-shirts.
But you know, the lips. You look at the picture. If they looked like they did on the picture, you'd go, "Wow, those are good lips."
Yeah.
If you looked how they would have looked on stage, you would have been like, "What 4th grader put that together?"
And it's funny enough because it is a learning curve from 2D to 3D. That's why I guess I like making things, because I could hold it. That's funny that we're both so. Going through our high school career and how we've decided who we are creatively and deciding why we wanted to get in this industry and falling in love with it. I guess we'll end off on the final topic of what steps are you taking to get into this industry? Be I mean specific enough, but you know, granted we plan on furthering this conversation. So what steps are you planning on taking to try and get into this industry?
We're still figuring a lot of that out.
Okay.
But I do have a general plan. Everyone tells you if you want to work for Disney, get your foot in the door,
Yep.
and if you stop it, you can throw your whole body in, as fast as possible. But I've actually been told by many people that for what I want to do, especially the Blue Sky department and especially that concept area, is to build your reputation elsewhere, outside of Disney. Disney hires out for those kinds of things. Because you can be some lowly intern working on the same project for 30 years and you only have one project under your belt. Whereas if you go out to design firms and such, you can get 30 projects under your belt in 1 year, and you build that reputation, you build that style, and most importantly, you build the experience, so that when you do send in that application, or when Disney is like, okay, we need a guy to make the Haunted Mansion cruise line or the Emperor's New Groove. Dang,
Yeah, check. Sorry, I slipped it in there.
I think that's checkmate.
But
I have no escape.
Yeah,
That's
it is.
checkmate.
Anyway, so but you
that's when they say,
the Emperor's New what now?
The Emperor's New Groove. Yes, I have made many plans for an Emperor's New Groove.
Well, we
attraction.
need one.
Yes.
But so
that's
interesting
when
to me
they
because
say, okay, who do we need on this?
Yeah.
We need Jacob. All right, let's hire him.
I always thought, like you said, it was a foot in the door thing. I didn't even think about going to other firms for that kind of thing, because that makes sense. Why? If you work, it's hard to work your way up to that kind of niche department.
First person who told it to me, if anyone else said it, I would have laughed in their face, but it was because the person who told me was Joe Rohde, and he is.
So for those who don't know, tell him, Jacob. Tell him.
Joe Rohde is like the tippy top Imagineer. Like, he is the man. He built Animal Kingdom. That's his baby. He's the one everyone. Like, he's the guy. He is the guy. And period. End of story.
So how'd you score that?
That is an interesting story. It was in my art class. One of the things, not for my art class, but I stayed after quite a bit for the 3D stuff. But one of the things I was working on as sort of a personal project was I had designed a Haunted Mansion cruise line, and it was very in depth, very detailed. Had a whole new parade of characters, a whole new set of stories to tell.
Yeah.
When she wasn't my 3D art teacher. I actually only had, this was my 2D art teacher freshman year, and that's the only year I had her, only for a semester. But she was one of my favorite teachers. I kept coming back to her every year, telling her jokes. My 3D art teacher, Mr. Martin, he was also one of my favorite teachers. Excellent man, helped me learn a lot. But she was the one who heard about me making this cruise line and was like, tell me everything. She was always the one who liked to pick my brain. So after,
and that helps to have someone to bounce off ideas.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. And I went through everything with her one afternoon. The whole thing took probably an hour, maybe 45 minutes at the least. And by the end of it, her draw was on the ground. She was amazed. So she went right onto her Instagram. She took a snapshot, cropped a lot of it out of one of the drawings, and said, Disney needs to hire this kid right now. Like, with the stories he just told me, the things he just created was absolutely impeccable. And she told me not to tell anyone else about it because someone was going to steal it. And that's why she had cropped the picture so it wouldn't spoil too much. And she added Joe Rohde on it, and he responded out against all odds.
That's crazy.
He replied to her and he said,
"Must be a slow day at Pandora."
I know, or Belgium, or wherever he may be in the world, And he said, "I can't help with jobs or internships or scholarships or any of that, but I'd be happy to give him some advice. Here's my email."
That's crazy.
She came running in. At the time, I was working on a clay model of a squash that's sassy. It was the Sasquatch. It was one of the only 3D things I ever did that was successful. And she came running in screaming because she was in the classroom next door, and she was screaming. Yeah. And so I worked hard. I created a nice professional email. I asked him a lot of questions. I told him some of the stuff I had going on, and he responded that day. It was very short. He said, give me maybe a day or two.
Mhm.
I want to take some time and make sure I put effort into this response.
Okay.
So if I don't respond in like a day or two, give me a nudge.
That's
and
great.
I was like, oh my God, this man, what a man, you know.
That's
But
great. That you don't really get a follow through. You just kind of get left hanging and hope for the best. So that's
Yeah.
great that he
Yeah,
made sure that you know.
Yeah, exactly. Like he took the time not only to read through everything and made sure he you know, he answered all my questions and
Yeah.
all that, but he also made sure I knew that I wasn't just another email in his inbox.
That's great.
Yeah, and he ended up responding within the hour, like right after an hour after that. We printed it out. It was 2 pages. My art teacher called it her Bible. It was 2 pages of he answered my questions. He gave advice. He just it was incredible some of the stuff he said, and that's when he told me, you know,
Yeah.
of the build that experience elsewhere, especially where you want to do what you want to do, where you want to be. It's going to benefit you so much more in the long run, you know, just to build that experience outside of Disney before you get stuck. As
So
an
and
intern.
that's your plan to build the
Yeah.
So how do you plan on building? What are you
So,
doing now to build that
um,
experience?
Right now, I am at UCF on track for a bachelor's in graphic design.
Okay, that'll
Um,
help.
Yeah. I'm still, you know, working out the specifics on if I'm going to do graphic design or something related. But, you know, I'm building that portfolio. I'm finishing one of my first college art classes on Thursday.
Mhm.
It'll be my last day. And hopefully I want to get my master's in. They got a new program at UCF called themed experience.
That's yeah. I'm aware of that major study.
Yeah. I'm a part of the Themed Entertainment Association at UCF, and they were the ones who directed me to the themed experience master's program. I think it's actually theater degree. Not
That
an
makes
art
sense,
degree,
yeah.
but it's all about sort of building those attractions and it's world building and designing.
And
it's,
you know, I'm sorry to cut you off here,
yeah,
but that's funny enough because the themed experience is not only is it's not even just for theme parks.
Oh,
like
no.
a lot of businesses will
Museums,
want
businesses,
yeah.
you know, zoos, you know, anything
Yep.
under the sun. It's
So
you
it
know,
really is kind of versatile enough for you to build an experience.
exactly, and of course we're in the heart of the themed
We are,
entertainment community here in Florida, Central Florida. So there's just I've got a world of opportunity
Yeah.
with that kind of a degree that I'm hoping I can
Mhm.
sort of snag, you know, and build that experience and eventually submit a resume to Disney or Nintendo. You know, if that doesn't work
Yeah.
out, I'll go to Nintendo.
Character design for Nintendo. Draw
yeah.
more human Mario. That's
We'll
great.
finally get Waluigi his own game, am I right?
That's great.
Yeah. What about you? What is your plan, Stan?
I'm going to school. I'm at Valencia, but just for an AA, just to get a degree, because that's what my parents said. Just to get a degree. You need to have a college degree.
Yeah.
It's funny enough because that's why I wanted to talk to you, is because I know we're on different paths.
Mhm.
You're a 2D graphic person going to school for it. Me, I'm a 3D builder, and I'm actually not going to college for that program or for any program that I'm not even going to school for music, even though that's a
Yeah.
hobby I'm pursuing. I'm going to school for general education. However, I'm in my industry right now.
Yeah.
I'm granted I've worked like kitchen jobs and day jobs to pay bills, but I through a friend, his family owns a fabrication studio that's like big names for the theme parks. In
Yeah.
fact, I worked on Galaxy's Edge through them.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but you know I started at low level laboring.
Yeah, and actually, I'll interrupt you briefly.
Yeah.
Is what you said about the different paths,
Yeah.
and like, I'm not discouraging anyone
Yes.
from their education, but you know that's the big thing these days is no one's looking at the degree
Nope.
anymore. No one cares about what you know. Oh, you get to, that's why I'm on graphic design, but I could change to anything because
Yeah.
no one's gonna look at that anymore. It's all about the experience you have. It's what have you done, not what can you do.
Yeah. And you know that's why I didn't want to go to school for it, because I know I'm not like the best artist. However, you know, personality-wise, I've grown up in these parks to the point where like the people who were lower level on my mom's level, she's since left the parks, but they're now higher ups. And granted, I'm not gonna name drop and ride off my mom's coattails, but like I know these people in the industry. I know the people who I want to be my boss. And so I started with this fabrication company, and I was lower level, so I was doing projects here and there, mostly shop intern stuff during the summer and between school years. And they let me go. That's why I'm not disclosing their names, or granted, because NDA stuff. I can say I worked on Galaxy's Edge because now that's up in there, and I've worked on other projects that are soon to come out. And that was a fun experience. They let me go. I was lower level, and they didn't need me anymore. But literally the day I was fired, this goes to show how I'm approaching my way. The day I was fired, I drove to the company that my dad now works for, and I walked in and I said, hey, I'm my dad's son, and do you have a job for me? And they said yes. This is the company I'm with now, where it's not so much fabrication. We do indeed do fabrication. However, we're more of the prop installer. So funny enough, one of my first jobs was installing the props that I worked on at the other shop.
Oh, that's too funny.
Yeah, but so we're more like Disney wants a new table, so we have to go in and replace the table. One of my first jobs there was Bippity Boppity Boutique. I installed the mirrors for Bippity Boppity Boutique. Very nice. And we'll get into stories and semantics there, but
and installing mirrors, that's a job you can see yourself doing.
Oh boy. I love your mannerisms. But it's getting into this industry. I'm taking more of that foot in the door approach because I'm not a conceptual.
Yeah.
I don't need to prove that I can. All I need to prove is that I can work with my hands and make the things that somebody gives me on blueprints. And that's what I did like for Horror Nights. That was great. I got to hold Universal's blueprints, and I loved that.
Yeah, and for that kind of thing, that is the area you do need to get your foot in the door.
That's why like starting with these companies, I already I have experience now.
Yeah.
And
you're on a great track.
And I it's that foot in the door technique. So I'm with this company now doing prop installations, and funny enough, I just applied for Universal was holding open auditions for atmospheric actors.
Oh.
And so I applied because I looked online for all that, and I applied for that, hoping to get a job that way because I know a lot of these show directors and whatnot.
Is that like the walk around Beetlejuice?
Yeah, that would be like the walk around Beetlejuices. That would be atmosphere characters. So not necessarily costume characters, but characters that would be roaming and kind of in the parks, improving guest experience. Because I do like that storytelling, and I would love to act, but another way just to get my foot in the door in any way I know how.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm starting these ranks. Because like Tony Baxter is a hero of mine. Tony Baxter is a great Imagineer. He started as an ice cream vendor on Main Street. So I'm taking that approach, hoping that will work for me. Because I don't want to be this creative director. I want to be, I guess, told, what to make, and maybe one day, decide I want to make it myself.
Yeah.
So that's why, I feel like it'd be interesting to chronicle, two different paths going for the same industry. And
one day you'll see my designs made by him.
I really, that's the dream, isn't it? Well, we're gonna wrap up this one here. We don't have a name. What should we name this?
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
If you gave me an hour, I could come up with something good. But for now, we can just.
For now, the working title.
Working title, yeah.
Working title. Two kids dreaming. How about
The path not traveled.
Two dreamers and doers.
There you go.
This is the Two Dreamers and Doers podcast with me, Xander, and Jacob over here, my cohort.
The way you phrased it was me, Xander, and Jacob.
Me, Xander, and Jacob. Me, myself, and Jacob. But we'll wrap it up here. I feel like going into it, I feel like the next one we should talk. I don't know when we'll do the next one. Hopefully soon, because I feel like it'd be nice to chronicle.
Next semester.
Oh, the other thing, I did apply for another shop that does prop maintenance for the theme parks.
Okay.
So I also sent the show director, the previous show director for Horror Nights. I sent him an application, and I've filled out. He's now the creative director for Epic Universe, and that has a monsters area. So I sent out there, but we'll hear back. But that's how I'm getting into the industry too. Yeah. But we'll wrap it up here. I know other people who are trying to get into the industry. I'm sure you probably do. I feel like it'd be nice to have them on and feel different areas throughout the experience too.
I can give you Joe Rohde's email.
Oh, well, I can give you Mike Aiello's. Not so high up, but I can give you that. I feel like, this would be a fun experience to kind of chronicle how we're going to get into this arena and how we can talk about the creative process and whatnot. Two dreamers and doers.
There you go.
Talking about dreams and how they're going to do them.
Yeah.
Indeed.
I like it.
All right. I guess hopefully there's a next one coming up soon.
Yeah.
Would you like to sign out?
Yeah.
Signing off?
Catch on the flip-flop 10-4, buddy. This is Jacob Young.
Indeed. Roger that, over and out.